On this episode, we get into part 4 of building good culture. Welcome to the show. I'm Ryan Gisclair, and on this episode, we're going to continue our discussion on how to build good culture. And in today's episode, we are going to discuss empathy. Not sympathy, but empathy. So what does empathy mean? Empathy means that we want to try to put ourselves in the other person's shoes. We want to try to see things through their eyes, walk a mile in their shoes, whatever cliche you want to use. That's what we're trying to do. So when we're trying to build culture and we're trying to build a positive attitude and a positive culture and a safe culture for that matter, as management, as owners, as safety people, we have to try to put ourselves in our employees' shoes and see things from their perspective. So if all you're doing is giving your employees things that you need done that do not blend with what they're doing, you're showing no signs of empathy. You're not considering their point of view at all or what they go through. I'll give you an example. You got guys working on the drill floor and they're tripping pipe, they're doing all this stuff, and you're giving them a piece of paper to fill out every 10 minutes. You have employed zero empathy into what they're doing to melt into your program. So basically what we want to do is we want to try to see things from their point of view. We want to look at it as if I was sitting in their shoes, if I was doing that job and I had to start doing this form or this process or whatever the case may be, how does that blend with what I'm doing? How does that blend with my job? By listening to your employees, by talking to them, by showing some empathy in their job as it relates to what you want to be done, it helps show them that you understand where they're coming from. You're not trying to make their job more difficult. You're trying to make their job easier. Empathy is something that a lot of people don't show in a lot of aspects of life, but especially in building culture in the workplace. It's very much I'm the dictator, you do what I want you to do, and if you don't like it, leave. And in some cases that works. Some cases that's how it needs to be. But when we're trying to build a culture, when we're trying to get people to buy into a program, we have to have a little bit of empathy when it comes to looking at it from their perspective also. So try to consider what your employees are doing. I'll give you a great example. Say we're utilizing behavior-based safety or BBS, and we have a lot of people that don't speak English. Okay, so what I don't want to do is have all my observation cards in English, where the people that don't speak English, they can't utilize the forms that I want them to use. But if I have empathy to their perspective, I may get those cards printed in Spanish as opposed to in English. So it's simple things like that show your people that you're paying attention to what they're talking about. It feeds also back into a couple episodes ago when we talked about listening and listen more. We want to be empathetic. We want to listen. Then we want to communicate properly. So let's make sure that we're empathetic to what our employees are going through. Let's make sure that we utilize that empathy when we're putting and rolling out programs. So thank you guys. Be sure to kind of recap a couple little lists here or at where we are in this process. So we want to choose positivity. That's something that we always want to do. We want to listen, then we want to listen more. We want to communicate precisely and concisely, and we want to showcase and utilize empathy. So tune in next week. We're going to get into being grateful. So we're working our way through the process of how to build a culture. We started with thinking positive, making sure that we're positive in our outlook. Then we moved into how do we listen and listening and how important that is in this process, then communicating very concisely and clearly what we want done. Today we've kind of discussed a little bit of how we need to utilize empathy to make sure that our process blends well with what our people are doing. Next week, we're going to look into being grateful, and that doesn't just mean telling people thank you and a pat on the back. There's a little bit more to that. And then finally, in our last episode, we'll get into very simply doing the right thing. So check us out on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, all the places online. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you do so you get these updates. If you have any questions about empathy and how to employ it and those kind of things, leave it in the comments. We'd love to hear from you and answer back. So tune in next week. Thank you.